What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got the co-host, Amanda. Amanda, ready for week 16. Gonna
Yes.
be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love these. We've talked about this a few times. Like December football is just so fun.
Yeah.
And we're really starting to see like who these teams are, who can work through some injuries and deal with what their team currently has to work with. So it's a good time for football.
Yeah, and for the teams that are on the outside, trying to get in and like just hanging by a thread, it's playoffs already. So you're seeing the desperation, the added pressure, some cold games as well. So yeah, it's the best time of year. And let's get into last night's game, the Broncos at the Chargers, and a big game for both teams. And the Chargers really needed this one. And they started out kind of slow, though. Denver jumped out to a 21-10 lead, led 24-13. And me and you were texting kind of like, maybe we should have picked the
Are
Broncos
we sure
here.
we picked the Chargers? Like, yeah, for a second I was like, wait, that's who we picked, right? And
Yeah.
for the exact reasons that we picked the Chargers pulled off the win. Like the Broncos are fun, they're scrappy, they've got a young team, they're doing impressive things, but
Yeah.
they're a little younger. Like I trust, obviously we trust their coach. But as
Hmm.
far as the players who are playing for the Chargers, like they've been here before. They've been in the mix previously, and we love Harbaugh, and we've seen him do a lot of championship focused stuff with previous teams. So this is kind of exactly what we expected the game. Just took LA a little bit to get it kicked off. And speaking of kicking, we have a
Yeah.
new NFL record. So I don't know if you guys understand really what the free kick play is, but it is so rare that it didn't happen for 30 years before we were born. Like it
Yeah. We've
hasn't
never seen
happened
it before.
since 1976.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
Harbaugh was saying that it's his favorite rule in football. He was like, just try to get one in every game. Like it's so interesting and it's never used.
We'll leave it to Harbaugh to have that in the back of his mind and actually
Oh,
call that play.
his football IQ is just insane. Like, was he born the last time there was a successful one in the NFL? Like, that's crazy. Like, he was. I'm sure he's over. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was wild. And the so that was the longest free kick ever. The record has been held by 52 yarder by Paul Hornung for the Packers in 62. Like, what a
Mhm.
random record to break this year.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, you
Not on
never
my
get to
bingo
see
card
that.
at all.
And on top of that, you had the fair catch interference that put him in position for that. A dumb
Mhm.
move by Denver,
So
and it
stupid.
cost them 3 points right before halftime.
I will say, as much of a dumb move as it was by Denver, my man turned his leg to the left. Like he was
Yeah,
standing with his knees forward and he went, "Er." Like
but that's why you got to stay away. You know what I
that was fucking
mean?
perfect. Like
Yeah,
like I will take a good flop. Like if it's gonna get you what you need to stay in the game, like do
yeah,
it. Like he put himself in the way of that. But if it's a fair catch, you don't need to be anywhere near him. Like there was no reason
exactly.
for the defender to be that close.
And we've seen worse calls. We've seen worse, roughing the passer and stuff like that, pass interference stuff. So, it could have been a little bit of a flop, but there was contact made. So, you got to stay away. And then, yeah, the Chargers rally in the second half, 34-27 win, a big win for LA to pull to 9-6. And I don't think a lot of people expected the Chargers to be 9-6 and making the playoffs year one. And that's just the Jim Harbaugh factor, whether it's Stanford, University of San Diego, the Niners, Michigan. He turns teams around immediately.
Quickly. Yeah.
And
Very
shout out to
efficient.
my Bears who wanted no part of Jim Harbaugh. Bad news.
Chicago.
And they
Guys, we
wouldn't
are like
call
4 minutes
Harbaugh, they
into
wouldn't
this
call
podcast, and
Belichick.
Alex is already depressed about the Bears. So, is that a new record?
Man, it's every week with this team. But um yeah, Justin Herbert played well. Lad McConkey, it's true. Good job by Gus Edwards with 2 rushing touchdowns. But it's true. We talked about this last night as well. The Chargers' lack of weapons. Lad McConkey isn't a number one wide receiver, and he's a rookie. Yet he's getting the most targets by far, and there seems to be already a little natural chemistry between Herbert and McConkey.
Yeah, they really need to beef up their both their running back room and their receiving room because I mean
Yeah.
Gus Edwards and Ladd McConkey have more than double what their number two on the team has for the night.
Hmm.
But I mean, same thing with Denver. Like they've got a lot of young talent, but they only had one player with more than 50 yards on running back or receiving.
Yeah.
So it's good that they have so many options, but you really needed to find wide receiver one and running back one and then a number two. Like we've
Yeah.
got like a kind of a one for LA and then like a gap and then like a bunch of threes and fours. Like so they really need to develop some of their talent, maybe bring some new talent in. I just worry about the depth on those offenses. Like what if Mims
Yeah.
gets injured for Denver? Like who's their next guy? Like Cortland
Yeah.
Sutton is fantastic, but you can't always go to him and he's not as I don't think he's as good or as quick as he used to be. So it's just
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how these teams continue to develop this talent in the offseason and going into next year.
Yeah, both teams have done a good job drafting. They got some good young talent. Audric Estime for Denver
Yeah.
with a nice touchdown. Ladd McConkey, Kamani Vidal. But yeah, if I'm the Chargers, and imagine how good they're going to be when they get a true number one receiver, and Ladd McConkey can fall back into his natural spot as a two, and then
I think he could be a number one in a couple years.
Potentially, yeah, but he's like that kind of smaller slot-ish, route runner, and the typical like Cortland Sutton, big body, number one
Yeah,
receiver. That's how I see it. But Josh Palmer's not bad, Quentin Johnston, but both these teams need to upgrade their weapons for sure.
absolutely.
Um, but yeah, I mean, did this game change your opinion on either of these two teams? It's about what we expected, I think.
Yeah, it's exactly what I expected. I expected the Broncos to stay in it, be scrappy, stand a chance of winning. I thought it was going to be close. I just trust the experience of the Chargers, especially at home.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was going to lean that way a little bit, but I mean, I could have talked myself into taking the Broncos here, and it
Hmm.
was about as close as we expected.
Yeah. Yeah. A very fun game to watch, competitive as hell. And that's what you want out of a Thursday night game. We don't want these blowouts
Yeah, that was
or,
a good Thursday night game. I am sick of
yeah,
shitty primetime games.
yeah, for sure.
Like, I mean,
Uh,
even Sunday Night Football last week, if I wasn't a Packers fan and like that game wasn't good for my team, like, ew, what the hell? 30
yeah.
to 13, nobody wants that in prime time. Like,
Especially when you had so many good games at the 4 o'clock window.
yeah,
So, I mean, Monday night was shit as well.
both of them.
So the cool thing about this week is we have two games on Saturday. You got the college this weekend is great. You got Notre
Oh,
Dame,
it's so
Indiana
good.
tonight. You've got three college football playoff games on Saturday, and then you've got Ravens, Steelers. You've got Texans, Chiefs. This weekend is going to be so much good football. Cancel your plans and just sit in front of the TV
Well,
and watch
I'll be
the
flying on Sunday, so I'm glad some of these games got scooched to Saturday, so I actually get to watch some
game.
football.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they have asked the flight attendants to put the game on for you.
It's just the afternoon games and then Sunday Night Football. I get all the morning games, so
Okay,
that's
nice.
fine.
Well, let's start with Saturday's games. The 9-5 Texans at the 13-1 Chiefs, and with the way the Chiefs have been scraping by a lot of these games and against some bad teams, and then you got Patrick Mahomes who's gonna start, but he's got the ankle issue. Do you see the Texans potentially stealing this one in Arrowhead?
I mean, does this just not fit into the narrative of the Patrick Mahomes faux injury that he recovers from in the postseason, and they have this big
Yeah.
comeback win with Patrick Mahomes being the hero and overcoming his ankle?
Yeah,
Um,
you can see that
I am
potential a mile
surprised
away.
by none of this. I think they will
Mhm.
be perfectly fine. Um, the Chiefs pull a win off all the time. They're at home. It's December. And I know Patrick Mahomes is only 18th in completion percentage. Like I know how bad he's been uh,
Yeah.
when he's been under pressure. And the Texans D line, they're third in pressure. So I can see the Texans coming in and winning. I just don't trust a pick against the Chiefs in week 16. I
I
can't do it.
think I think it should be a great game, and
Yeah.
then watch it come down to like a game-winning field goal by the Chiefs, right? That seems to be how they win every game. But my only concern here is, and we talked about this during the week, and with John Abraham and stuff, is why are they so insistent? If Patrick Mahomes can go, cool, but he does have an ankle injury, and ideally he'll be fine. But
Yeah.
it was kind of a mild high ankle. Imagine if
Yeah.
that D line gets pressure on him, re-aggravates, and maybe makes that ankle worse. Then you do have a real problem with just
I
two
think he
weeks to
should take
go.
the week off against this Texans defense.
Yeah, and
Like
you've got
if
a
you
short
were,
week. You play on Wednesday next week
yeah,
on
it's
Christmas. So I don't really get it. If I was the Chiefs, I would be a lot more cautious.
yeah, I'm not a fan of this either. Um, and at least one bright point for the Chiefs coming into this one is we've had questions with their defense all season. Like obviously the offense has scored just enough to win on all of their
Hmm.
matchups, but it's been close games almost every week. But we saw, some signs of life there. 5 sacks. They really improved their pressure rate when they weren't blitzing. So some promise there on defense. So maybe they'll just try to keep, the offense with the ball and hopefully the O-line can stand up to it. But it just seems stupid to play him this week with so many games coming up that are much more important than this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And um, in my opinion, I think this is going to be a great game. I think there's the Texans could steal this one. A big addition for the Chiefs is they're getting wide receiver Hollywood Brown back. So that's going to help out a lot. Put him next, across from D Hop. Um, but I'm going to go with the Texans. I'm going to trust their defense. And Mahomes hasn't been, you know, he hasn't exactly protected the football at an elite level this year. And Derek Stingley coming off a game where he had 2 interceptions. So if the Texans can maybe take the ball away a couple times, an interception or two, force a fumble, those extra possessions could help the Texans steal this one. I'm going to go with Houston in Arrowhead. You know my hate for the Chiefs, and I just feel like they should have lost to the Raiders. They could have lost to the Panthers.
They've been so close. Denver, that should have been a
Yeah.
loss. Like they've been so
Yep.
close to losing. I will aggressively root for the Texans here,
Hmm.
because I feel like they won it more. I feel like for the Chiefs at this point, it's just old news. They're just kind of going through
Yeah.
the motions. Like I'm not seeing the fire with them that I'm seeing with some of these younger teams. But you mentioned them playing on a Wednesday and a Saturday here. Um, this team, the 2024 Chiefs, are only the second team in NFL history to play on 6 different days of the week in a season.
Wow.
And the only other team is the Yankees back in 27. No, not even like it's who's made the schedule. Like I understand the holidays were on weird Christmas schedule this week, but 10 Sunday games, 2 Monday games, a Wednesday game, a Thursday game, a Friday game, and then Saturday. Like what the hell?
Well, the NFL, you're seeing that more and more where they're willing to play games on any day,
Oh, I
you know?
love it. But can you
Me
imagine getting
too.
the schedule and be like, what?
Yeah.
But
Wednesday is weird, but when
but
it's
I mean,
Christmas, it's okay, but
I want to start a petition to have Christmas like Thanksgiving, like the same day every year, like have it on a
yeah.
Monday, have it always be a Monday or whatever. Like I don't mind
Something where you
that.
have a long weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
It
true.
should be set, like moving it around. And then with Christmas breaks and stuff, like sometimes your Christmas break starts the day before Christmas Eve for the kids. And then sometimes
Yeah.
it's like 9 days before Christmas. Like what? No,
Yeah.
you just schedule it. Same with
Yeah.
Halloween should always be a Friday.
So yeah, you're gonna take the Chiefs. I'm gonna take
Yep.
the Texans. That'll be our first disagreement of the week. And we'll see if I can whittle down your damn near 30 game lead on me right now.
26.
Unbelievable.
Well, I'm rolling at 75%. Last night might have pushed me up one, but we'll see how this week plays out. Another great close matchup on Saturday. I love these games.
Yeah.
10-4 Steelers, the 9-5 Ravens. And I know you've been high on the Steelers. How are you feeling coming into this one?
I've been high on the Steelers, but I've also been high on the Ravens. You know, the Ravens are one of my AFC teams, and they're at home. They lost to the Steelers earlier this year. They don't want to get swept. They're a game back, right? So if they win this, they, I believe, can take first place in the AFC North. So the Ravens need it. I expect this to be hard fought, probably lower scoring, but give me the Ravens by like a field goal. I think they find a way to get this win at home. Um, and the Steelers, you know,
George Pickens.
yeah, George Pickens and Justin Fields both out. TJ Watt is going to play, but he kind of got, his ankle or got banged up a little bit last week. Um, I no George Pickens is really holding the Steelers back a little bit. I think that played a role in the outcome against Philly as well.
Yeah, well, we've talked about Odell Beckham Jr. like
Yeah.
being, movable and how the Steelers would be a good fit. Did you see Tyreek Hill, what he tweeted this week? He said, "Time for me to go, coach." Like,
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh would love a good receiver like that. And I mean, they've got talent. It's just young or injured right now. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm cracking up at how Arthur Smith talked about their Steelers run game. He was like, "Yeah, it's kind of like an old truck. Like it takes us some time to get it started, but we can put together some really nice drives." Like what? Like what a boomer thing to say. I love that. Like kind of like an old truck, like my good old Chevy out in the yard. Like
Such an Arthur Smith type
I
quote.
know. I would like you. I could have said Andy Reid or Arthur Smith if you had just given me that quote. Like those were my choices. I mean, yeah, I expect the run game for the Ravens to kind of pull this one off. They've
Yeah.
just been so good, and their receiving core I think is just better and healthier right now. We love Zay Flowers. He's been a little slow in the past couple weeks, so I'm kind of expecting a bounce back week for him. Because his last great game was against the Broncos, so he's due, and the Ravens like
Yeah.
to kind of switch it up week to week.
And the
So
Ravens defense has started playing a little better. People were very critical of them early in the year, and we were all wondering why, because there is a lot of talent on that defense. It just wasn't, you
it
know,
wasn't clicking.
yeah, but they're starting to play better. And I think with no George Pickens, the Steelers a little bit handicapped there. The
Mhm.
Ravens will take advantage of that. I'm going to pick the Ravens, and I'm going to say it's like a 16-13. Ravens get the win, a little like ugly AFC North, old school type matchup.
Yeah. I think we're closer in the 20 range, but yeah, I'm rolling with the Ravens here too, especially with how the
Yeah.
Steelers defense played against the receivers for Philly. I just think that receiving core for Baltimore. I mean, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith both had really good games against their defense, so I expect the same thing.
And Lamar, what? Didn't he have like 5 touchdowns and 5 incompletions last week? So he's feeling himself coming in. Yeah.
He's trying to stay in the MVP race.
Yeah. Yeah. And he should be. He's been playing great this year.
He has,
Um,
but I
but
do
Josh
think that
Allen is Superman.
well, if you look at the players on his team and what he's working with, like nobody was saying, "Oh my God, Baltimore got rid of all their offensive weapons. What are they going to do now?" Everyone
Yeah.
was saying that about the Bills. Like
Yep.
I think he's very valuable to that team, but they also have a ton of other very talented people versus what Buffalo and Josh Allen have been working with. Like even we were like, "Oh, they've never replaced their star players who left." So yes,
Yeah.
Lamar is amazing, but if he got it last year for doing what he did, Josh Allen fucking deserves it this year.
Yeah, and he's never had one. And I feel like we all agree of all years, this seems like the year for him to get it.
Let's do a
Um,
split one though. Saquon and Josh. Let's do a double.
what's that? Oh,
I said,
yeah, they
yeah,
should. That would be cool because
because
they've done
a
it
running back
before.
deserves it, but Josh Allen definitely also deserves it. Like I think it would be absolutely fair to do them both this year.
Yeah, and I want to see Saquon didn't have a great game against Pittsburgh. I want to see if he can play great these last 2 weeks. But if you're Philly, do you really want him to, or do you want to keep him healthy for the playoffs? So it's kind of a,
Yeah,
you know,
go back and forth.
yeah. Let's go 2-12 Giants at the 7-7 Falcons, and the big news here is Kirk Cousins getting benched, and the rookie Michael Penix Jr. getting his first career start against the Giants. I think a good matchup for a rookie, his first game against a bad Giants team. And we'll see how much of a spark he provides to that Falcon offense because they've really been not firing on all cylinders with Kirk the last 5 games.
Yeah, he definitely had a bit of a slump there. I don't think the Falcons are looking at the postseason. I think they're just trying to look at next season. I know
Well,
somebody
I
has to
think
go in the
they're holding.
AFC.
I think they're holding out hope, but and you can't look forward. I think you got to take it one game at a time with
Yeah.
the rookie in. It's kind of. Do you expect? So the Giants' run defense is bad. and you got a rookie making his first start, I would be feeding those two running backs like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially with what Raheem Morris said, he said that Penix hasn't been throwing much to the starting wide receivers, because he's been the scout team quarterback. So like they
Yeah.
haven't even got him doing reps. So yeah, I think it'll be very, very heavy run game for them.
Hmm.
But yeah, I am not excited about this game. Malik
Yeah.
Neighbors, I hope he gets his 1,000 yard receiving season. He's at 99 yards short. And then I think
Two catches away.
2 catches away from Saquon Barkley, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Most
And
receptions by a
OBJ.
rookie in franchise history. Like, good for him, but like, I'm
Yeah.
is anyone trying to watch this game?
No. And we'll
Like,
see if
I'll watch the
Drew
Penix
Lock.
for the highlights, but other than that, like, so I'm assuming everyone's rolling with the Falcons here, or do we trust Drew Lock over the rookie?
No, I think you got to go Falcons here. They're the more talented team, and a lot of people expect Michael Penix to play well and
Yeah,
potentially play better than Kirk Cousins. He,
not gonna be hard.
yeah, and on top of that, like he was one of the best. Like he was getting a lot of hype coming out of college. He was
Yeah.
great, in the playoffs and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, so we agree Falcons for the win at home. Let's go Lions at Bears. 12-2 Lions at the 4-10 Bears. Chicago comes in on an 8-game losing streak. They weren't very competitive against the Vikings at all. They haven't been very competitive all year. But they always seem to, these division rivalries, we talk about it every week, and the Bears always seem to play up and play harder against the Lions. Plus, you got the Lions coming in after a devastating week of injury, losing David Montgomery, Carlton
League
Davis.
high 21 players on IR.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
at some point, I know the Lions have a great coaching staff. I know they have a deep roster, but at some point, those injuries are going to affect the way they're playing football, especially
I
on the defensive side.
I guarantee you they're in the locker room a little frustrated that the mini Minnesota and Seattle matchup isn't before their game. Because
Yeah.
if Minnesota loses, then they can like pump out, like put their foot off the gas a little bit and
Yeah.
relax a little bit more going into this one. Because at this point, they're just, I mean, they need to avoid any more injuries. Like they've got
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs. He said his on-field mindset won't change. I've been doing this my whole life. I don't look at it any different. And Campbell is confident in him, which is good. I mean, he's a great running back, but there's only so much you can do when you're down weapons and the defense knows exactly who you're going to hand the ball off to.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Lions game against the Bills, and you feel like that's going to be kind of have to how they're going to have to play. That defense, you lose your best run stopper, you lose your best man corner, your best pass rusher is gone. Like, I don't know. Brian Branch is banged up. He's expected to play in this game, but like, it's just they can't afford this. And going to Chicago, playing in cold weather, where we know Jared Goff struggles at times. He has the the wind coming off the lake. I expect this game to be very competitive. I don't think Detroit's going to run away with it, and I'm actually going to go ahead and pick the Bears here to shock the Lions. No one expected the Bears to beat the Lions last year either, and they almost swept them. They play the Lions very well, and no one expected the game on Thanksgiving to be anywhere close, and the Bears almost stole that one. So I just have a feeling the Bears might steal this one.
Yeah, they've been real close to beating the other NFC North teams a couple times this season, so they're
Yeah.
primed for a win. I know Caleb Williams is getting sick of losing,
Hmm.
but I don't like the matchup um, of Caleb Williams versus the man coverage. Like
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is bad under man coverage. Detroit plays it at the highest rate in the NFL, so I'm a little concerned there, but I do hope for a close game. I would love for the rest of the NFC North to lose this week, so Green Bay can scooch up a little bit. Um, I mean, Chicago can win the rest of the season, not them. They
Yeah,
can
they're
win
not a
now. Now
threat.
that we're done, Chicago. I'm a Bears fan, guys. Uh, but yeah, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if Detroit decided to lose here, but I am gonna pick them to win because I do not trust Chicago.
Yeah, and I get that. Like, I don't really trust Chicago either, but I wouldn't pick the Bears against hardly anybody else. But because the Lions, my hate for the Lions, it's
Yeah,
my Bears, and I just have a gut feeling that maybe they can steal it. Division
they've been
rivalry.
close.
Yeah, and maybe Thomas Brown will have the common sense to call a timeout if you have 30 seconds left. So we'll see how that goes. But that should be hopefully a good game there. Um, so we disagree on that one. Let's go 3-11 Browns at the 6-8 Bengals. Cincy, they need to win out, and even that might not be enough. And it is a division rivalry game, but I don't have much faith in the Browns at all. And I think Cincy has enough offense to outscore Cleveland and get the win.
Yeah, I think they definitely pulled this one off here. The fact that they haven't been eliminated yet,
Hmm.
I mean they're number 10. They are this close to being eliminated, but Miami and Indy are right there with them with their 6-8
All
record.
six and
So
eight, yeah,
yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, I didn't trust the Browns when their starting quarterback was playing. I don't trust him now.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, I
Cincinnati.
think they're better now than when their starting quarterback was playing.
Yeah, but my point is like I don't trust this team.
Yeah.
There's just too much going on there. Too many
And
questions.
we like Jameis Winston, but the turnovers are
Yeah.
backbreaking. So,
Yeah, there's a reason he hasn't been a starter. Um,
yeah.
but I mean, speaking of those other, 6-8 teams, let's talk Colts at home versus the 3-11 Titans. The Titans coming in on a 3-game losing streak. The only thing they give us each week is a new Will Levis meme. Um,
Well, and you know how you fix that? By benching his ass, which they've did. And I'm a hot take here. I believe I picked the Titans to beat the Bengals last week, right?
yeah.
And Joe Burrow and the Bengals didn't play a perfect game. They were turning the ball over a bit, kind of sloppy. I believe if Mason Rudolph had started last week, the Titans would have beat the Bengals. And because they're starting Mason Rudolph this week, I got the Titans to win this game.
Is that why, or is it because it's December and Christmas
That
week and
too.
Rudolph, the red-nosed quarterback, likes to win in December?
Absolutely. And he's not, I mean, that's a fun narrative, Rudolph in
Oh yeah,
December and all
he's a
that with the
very
holidays.
serviceable backup. I'm not just saying he
Yeah.
wins because of the Christmas spirit.
But Will Levis is a turnover machine.
Oh God, I hate Will Levis. He's bad.
You and Rudolph can protect the football. So if he
Yeah.
does that, I think the Titans can steal this one. I think is Tony Pollard playing?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's huge.
And he's
Um,
he's close to some personal records too. He needs 85 scrimmage yards to reach 1,300 for the third straight season. So I
yeah.
think he's trying to get some good numbers here. Um, what's
On
interesting is the Colts have the lowest time of possession in the league,
wow,
but
that's
they're
weird.
still doing
You
okay
wouldn't expect
record-wise. Like they're
that.
still technically in the hunt. Like you would expect that to be like one of these 3-win teams down at the bottom, or like the Raiders with 2 wins.
Yeah.
But somehow the Colts are down there, but I mean that scoring defense has really been keeping them in games.
Yeah. Yeah, the defense has, and the offense has been struggling. And Shane Steichen is an offensive coach, and I'm just not. I tweeted this, I posted this week that I think the Colts should consider moving on from Shane Steichen. I'm not a fan. I think he cost them a chance to win the division last year, and I think he's costing them this year. What the hell was that trick play last week that resulted in a pick six? Uh, and they're just doing some dumb stuff, and I don't trust the Colts. So yeah, give me the Titans at home here. I know you like that Nick Bonito pick six last week.
I did. Sorry, I'm just contrasting information. Have the Colts been eliminated? Because ESPN app has them as not eliminated, but then the NFL website has them as eliminated.
I don't think they have been yet. I think they're
Did
6-8
last
right
did
there.
last night's game change that?
Not that I'm aware of. It may have. I'm not aware of that.
So
But I
yeah, I
think
just went over
people.
to the NFL website and it says that they're eliminated, but ESPN doesn't have them eliminated. So If
Yeah.
they still have something to fight for, then I'm taking Indy here.
Well,
Um,
and even if they are eliminated, it's a division rivalry game. They're trying to develop Anthony Richardson. Steichen is coaching for his job. They're
yeah.
gonna they're gonna show up.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't liked Richardson. Last week he had 44% of his passes completed.
That's like him all year.
Yeah,
He's been
like
so
I
low.
feel like he's just settled into that. Like
Yeah.
I feel like towards the beginning of the season he was trying to improve it, but now he's like, no, this is who I am. I'm gonna rush for 46 yards and a touchdown, but who
Yeah.
cares if nobody catches it? Like, fuck it.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, well, I'll roll with the Colts here, but
okay.
apologies for not knowing if they're actually eliminated or not yet, listeners. That's my bad. I'm very confused.
I mean, who's really paying attention to this Colts team? I mean, just
No.
just end the season, fire the coach, get a quarterback,
Yeah.
sell the team, do what you got to do. 8-6 Rams at the 4-10 Jets. The Jets, looked better last week. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams were looking vintage. Uh, no
That's
Quinn and
so
Williams.
annoying. That is so
Uh,
annoying. They fucking would.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
of course they did. Like, nothing matters anymore. Let's have a great showcase game and show our personal talents so we can find better teams. That is some diva shit, and I would expect
Yeah,
nothing less.
yeah. Uh, in New York, does the weather play a role in, limiting the Rams offense a little bit? The Jets defense has a lot of talent on that side of the ball, but, Stafford, Puka, Cooper, Kyron Williams, I think the Rams are going to do enough to get the win.
Yeah,
And plus, they're playing for something.
I'm absolutely high on the Rams to win this one. Sitting on top of the NFC North right now, tied up with Seattle. Seattle's dealing with some injury issues with their quarterback. Had a rough
NFC
week
West.
last week. NFC West. Sorry. My bad, whatever. Y'all know what I
You
meant.
were thinking Stafford and the Lions is what you were thinking.
No. I was just whatever. My point is, Puka Nacua has been popping off since returning from his injury. I mean, there's
Yeah,
since he got back. He's averaging more than 96 receiving yards per game since he's been back. There's a reason the Jets are 4-10.
yeah,
Expected more from this defense. Their offense didn't click for 90% of the season. I think between the Rams defense and their offense clicking like it is, this is gonna absolutely be a one-sided game.
yeah. I
Um,
think it could be closer, but I'm gonna pick the Rams to win. Like if the Jets show up and Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are doing what they did last week,
Well, and think about
then
Aaron Rodgers' history with Matt Stafford. Like they've faced
yeah,
each other. This will be the 18th time they've faced each other. Like Aaron Rodgers knows what to do with Matt Stafford.
yeah,
But
he's got to have a winning record against Stafford
oh
too.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
but we agree. Rams
He's
on the road.
he's
This
won
would be a
13.
terrible loss. What is it?
Rodgers has won 13 of the 17 matchups. So
Yeah, like what we expected. And if the Rams lose this, the NFC West is very competitive. So they would, that would be a huge loss. We agree. Rams should win this one.
yeah, but Aaron Rodgers is going to throw at least two touchdown passes in this one. Fifth player in NFL history to hit the 500 mark. He
Nice.
knows all of those records and all of those benchmarks. He's got that shit in his head. So I
Yeah.
guarantee you he'll be throwing and not handing it off when it comes to the red zone.
Be careful with that pass rush. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, they can get home. So,
Oh, I know. I'm not saying it'll
yeah.
go well. I'm just saying he's going to be trying for it. And the Rams are over here looking to be the first team in NFL history to make the playoffs in back-to-back seasons, after being 3 games under 500 at some point during the year. So
Wow.
we got our little comeback team over here. So definitely pulling for them. And I just don't think the Jets deserve to win this one with all the messiness that they've had going on this season. Um, I know he had a
The,
great game against the Jags, but it was the Jags. So
the owner doesn't deserve it. Anytime you're turning down trades because of Madden ratings, you should just sell the team. You don't know what you're doing there, Woody Johnson. Go back to making vaccines and whatever else you make. But yeah, we agree. Uh, Rams over the Jets. Now, Eagles at Commanders. This is a fun matchup, and could see a scenario where the Commanders get a big win here at home, division rivalry. But I think we should ask ourselves each week, is AJ Brown playing? He is. Give me the Eagles, right?
That was crazy. And I mean, he had his season high targets, 8 catches for 110 yards last week. Like,
Yeah.
I, he's their rabbit's foot every game he plays. Like, and it was interesting too because their passing game has been kind of quiet the last few games. They've leaned heavily on the running game, but like last week they're
Yeah.
like, let's start throwing the ball again.
Well, they had something to prove, right? After
Yeah,
all that
well, we're
drama.
friends again. We're a happy
Yeah.
family.
What the big question I have is, does that happen 2 weeks in a row, or do they go back to the running game? Do they not give AJ Brown enough targets? And does the drama start back up? Do they need to do it consecutive weeks and every week through the playoffs now? Which common sense would say feed AJ Brown, feed Devontae Smith, but Dallas Goedert. But we'll see if they revert and go back to the running game.
Mhm. My thing here is the last time they matched up back in week 11, the Eagles won 26-18. Terry McLaurin, who is the Commander's best weapon in my mind,
Yep.
he
Yep.
was hit a season low 2 times. Their
Yeah.
defense shut him down. He was
Yeah.
covering the end zone. He ran 22 out of 25 of his routes on the left side. Since then, they've realized that that's a little too obvious, and they've moved him around the last 3 games a lot. 40 from the left, 22 on the right. So they've been playing with that because they realized it was a weakness. But I am all in on this Eagles secondary. I
Yeah.
think that it will be very obvious who the Commanders are going to go after because they have limited weapons. So I absolutely trust the Eagles here on defense and offense.
I agree. Give me the Eagles. The Commanders are a good team, but the Eagles are a great team, and I think
Exactly.
that's the difference. Yeah.
Does
Uh,
anyone wanna pick the Panthers over the 7-7 Cardinals this week?
I mean, it could happen. I don't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals, but I think they're gonna run the rock with James Conner and Carolina not having Xavier Legette, possibly not having Jalen Coker, who's being one of his top guys they throw into. The Panthers have been more competitive, but not competitive enough to win. They're on a 4-game losing streak. So I think the Cardinals find a way. They're still playing for something.
Yeah, and that Panthers defense is so bad. I mean, 217 passing yards given up per game, almost 7 yards per play. Like against this offense that is one of the worst passing teams in the league, but against this defense, I think they're going to look great. I think this
Yeah.
is going to be an exhibition game for our little guy over here and Kyler Murray. But I
The
think
elf on the shelf, Kyler Murray.
yeah, our little Christmas spirit. I do think that he's elusive enough that he he'll be able to get the ball out, and Carolina is sad with Xavier in the game, and this is just going to be depressing for them. So we can skip this one.
Well, real quick, did you see they asked Kyler Murray, like, do you have any issues with
Oh,
playing in the cold? And he
they're
was
like,
like, no. He's like,
well, no,
I've played in the
he was
cold
like,
before.
wait, how cold? And they're like 35, and he goes, no, that's ugh.
Yeah,
Like
he's like, oh,
that
shit.
was so funny. I was like, fuck, that's cold.
Yeah.
That cracks me
Uh,
up. Like he doesn't have the body fat to keep him warm in those temperatures.
Yeah, he prefers to be in the warm inside playing Call of Duty, not out in the cold. So,
He's gonna have those like hot pack hand warmers like all up inside his base layer out there. That poor
yeah.
baby.
So, but all that being said, I mean, don't ask Kyler Murray to do much. Just feed James Conner. He's built more to play in the cold, a physical runner. Let
Mhm.
him carry the offense. So,
Yeah, and he had his season high fantasy points in week 14, so it's not like he's fallen off this season.
yeah.
And this Panthers defense loves to give up points to running backs. So
Yeah. Yeah. So,
yeah.
we agree, Cardinals in that one. How about the Vikings at the Seahawks? Minnesota comes in on a 7-game winning streak. But I think everyone, if they're being honest, will look at this Vikings team at 12-2 and say, "How are they this good?"
Do
Like,
you know how? They have played one team at or above 500 since October 24th. That's it.
yeah, they're just
I,
taking
I
advantage of their schedule.
Yeah, and they're playing the same teams as the other NFC North teams, obviously, based on how it works. It's just they had rough at the end, rough at the beginning, and they've just had kind of a quiet break in the middle. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I don't know if they can beat a good team because they haven't done it
Yeah.
in 2 months. Like I and I'm
We'll
and
we'll
obviously the
see who the
Seahawks.
team is in the playoffs when they play against real and here again when they play Detroit week 18.
Yeah,
Will they
I
play
think
the
it's going to come
Packers next
down
week?
to the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I don't know who they are because I haven't seen them play anyone real in so long.
Yeah.
And coming into Seattle, Seattle is real upset about losing at home. Their stadium was overrun by Packers fans. Like I haven't been able to find official counts, but it was at least 40% cheeseheads. It was beautiful.
Well, you
But
were part of that.
yeah, it was. It was a great game. Unless you were a Seahawks fan. But the Vikings historically have not been able to win in Seattle. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter who the coaches, who the quarterbacks are. Like they've last their last 5 games there, and they've only won 2 times ever in their 11 games over the past 6 decades. Like they just cannot win in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I mean maybe that'll continue, but like looking at this on paper, it clearly should be the Vikings winning. Their defense is tied for the fourth most sacks. We know Seattle's got issues with their quarterback and injuries right now. He's supposed to play,
Yeah.
but he didn't survive all of last week, and their backup is not.
Yeah. You don't want Sam Howell trotting out
You should
there.
have heard the hate from Seahawks fans sitting around me. What the fuck is he like? They were mad. Sam Howell does not need to be on the field in this one. I am pulling hard for Seattle in this one. Because NFC North, it's too late to be friends anymore. I'm not gonna root for any other NFC North teams at this point. But it'll be interesting because Seattle's bad at home this season. They're 3-5.
Yeah.
The Vikings can't
Well,
win in Seattle. It's an interesting matchup.
I like that the Seahawks are healthier now. They finally get Kenneth Walker back. Geno
Finally,
Smith
they've
is
needed
gonna,
him.
yeah, he's
DK
huge.
Metcalf is playing like
Yeah. Jackson
so
Smith and Jigba's been great this year.
he's so good. He was pissing
Um,
me off a little bit last week. I
question
like him
is,
normally.
do you are you going to root for the Seahawks enough to pick them at home against the Vikings?
I think I don't know. I
Well,
I think
I,
on paper I have Minnesota picked. Um, my thing is though, the Vikings have already got a playoff spot. They can, take their foot off the gas a little bit. Seattle has a 36% chance of making the postseason. So they're playing with a
mhm.
lot more on the line. They're healthy. They have their running back back. Uh,
Well, the Vikings are right there competing for the 1 seed, though. They have a shot as much as we don't trust the Vikings. They have a legit shot to get the 1 seed in the NFC. So they are playing for that. But your stat about not winning in Seattle, me not trusting in this team, and the Seahawks getting healthy, give me Seattle at home.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with you. I don't want to pick with you, but I mean, looking at the numbers, the Minnesota defense has given up the most receiving yards per game to wide receivers. JSN has been so good and so on
Yeah.
point. And we've got DK as an extra weapon in this game. I expect them both to be heavily involved. And I mean, we know how Minnesota secondary performs. Let's keep the ball in the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I got to pick Seattle here.
Geno playing is huge to me, and we'll see how healthy he is. But if it was Sam Howell, it's an easy decision.
Yeah,
But Geno can open up that offense a lot more.
absolutely.
So you're going Seattle as well?
Yeah, I have to.
All right, I like it.
I do not trust Minnesota. I don't know who they are.
Minnesota might go like 14-3 in the regular
Yeah.
season, but I don't trust them in the playoffs at all.
Well, maybe. If they get a blowout like 40-12 win here, absolutely I'm on board. I trust them, but I haven't seen them in the part of the season that matters playing well.
And they could win 40-12 in this game, but they got to do it against Green Bay, against Detroit the last 2 weeks as well.
It is
So
going to come down to week 18 in the NFC North. I've
yeah,
been saying that for weeks. I think it's going to
yeah.
be a last week of the season situation.
And we'll see if Green Bay can claw their way back into that, maybe steal the division. Hey, root for the Bears. Drop Detroit down, root for the Seahawks. You never know. Um, all right, Patriots at Bills. Tom Brady against Drew Bledsoe. No, just kidding. Uh,
Yeah. This game is so lopsided, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like this Patriots team is a mess. Like I made the joke earlier. You were like, "Oh, you're gonna take the Pats," and I was like, Drake, maybe not." Yeah, no, it's just gonna be bad. I mean, Josh Allen is ridiculous right now.
Yeah.
Week 14, 51.88 points in fantasy football. Last week, 41. First quarterback in NFL history with over 40 points back-to-back weeks. The past three games, we've got 1,003 yards, 14 touchdowns, zero turnovers. First player in NFL history with 35 passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns in four straight seasons. Like he's disgustingly good right now.
It's
This
crazy.
it's gonna be bad. I will say something to look out for. The past two times the Pats and the Bills have matched up in Buffalo, the opening kickoff has been returned for a touchdown.
There you go. That's
So
a cool stat.
yeah,
We'll see if it happens again. How that would be awesome if they do three in a row.
yeah. Well, it wasn't last year. They're not consecutive seasons. That's never happened.
Oh, okay.
The same two teams in consecutive seasons. That would be the first time in history, so that could be cool too.
Yeah.
Coldest game for Drake May so far. Temperatures in the teens. He said, "I'm excited to wear long sleeves and embrace the cold." So that's adorable. Um,
Advantage Josh Allen all the way.
yeah, I think it's going to be bad.
Yeah. It could be a little sloppy just because the Bills aren't going to take them seriously,
Seriously,
maybe,
yeah.
but they should still win easily. Even if they don't take them seriously, I got the Bills by like 17 points at the very
Yeah.
least. You know what I mean?
I don't think they have to take him seriously to blow this one
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. So we agree there. Bills
But they're not
at
going to pull off the gas too much because Josh Allen is fighting for that MVP slot.
yeah. And if all else fails, feed James Cook. Just rely on the running game, you know?
Yeah.
Uh the game of the week, the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Vegas Raiders. Do you have this game ending in a tie?
And they both lose.
Yeah. Two terrible teams. Aiden O'Connell, though, is getting the start for the Raiders or expected to. Mac
Well,
Jones for
golly gee,
the
sign me up for the Raiders then.
Jags. I know your team, Aiden O'Connell. Bust out that Aiden O'Connell jersey you got hanging in the closet.
I will say I am team Brock Bowers. I love him. He's
Yeah.
fantastic, but he's only had six catches over the past 2 weeks. He's fallen to fourth in the NFL with 90 receptions, and he was on the top of the league 2 weeks ago.
Hmm.
And I know it's, not his fault, quarterback issues. But he would be the third rookie tight end to eclipse 1,000 receiving yards in NFL history, up there with Ditka and Kyle Pitts if he gets 32 more yards this season.
Nice.
So Team Brock Bowers, but 32 yards is not a lot, so it doesn't mean I have to pick the Raiders.
Well, yeah, I'm team Brian Thomas Jr. He's been great this year as a rookie. Yeah, quarterback issues in Jacksonville as well, but when he plays, he puts up the numbers. And I think he's got future star. Both these guys have star written all over them. Um,
Agreed.
but I don't know who to pick here. I mean, two terrible
I'm
teams.
taking the Jags.
You gonna
Um,
take the Jags?
the Raiders without Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins. I
Yeah.
think that should be a nice, smooth day for Mac Jones.
I'm gonna take the Raiders. I don't really have a lot of logic behind it.
Don't
It's
really
in Vegas.
care, but yeah,
Yeah, and it's another opportunity to cut your lead down a little bit. So, what the hell? Let's go Raiders.
30 games, guys.
No,
It'll
it's
be
not
after
gonna
this
hit
week.
30.
I
I
will say though,
guarantee you.
the Raiders are close to a franchise record. If they lose their final three games, they will tie their longest losing streak in franchise history. 13 straight. That's held since 1962. So
Wow.
let's go, loss.
How are you feeling about so Tom Brady as part owner over there, and they said he's gonna be very involved in the quarterback, the draft pick, this offseason. It'd be cool seeing Tom Brady with Shedeur Sanders and
Yeah, I mean, they need a revamp, so at least they're doing something to change things up.
and the Raiders are going to need a head coach. What if they try to coach? What if they draft Shador and try to coax
Daddy-O,
Dion?
Daddy-O, bring him in.
Yeah,
I
that'd
mean,
be pretty cool.
have they been successful enough together to bring them both over?
I would do it.
Okay.
Yeah, they killed. I mean, he's been the his head coach his whole
Yeah.
college career, and he's been very successful. So
But sometimes it's good to get out from underneath Papa's shadow, you know? So
definitely,
I've
but
intrigued to see what he would do without his dad around.
yeah, we'll see what the Raiders do. We know they're going to look a lot different going into next year. Here's
Mhm.
a sneaky, very fun matchup here: the 6-8 Niners at the 6-8 Dolphins. I actually am going to be watching this game, and I got the Niners in Miami. I watched the Dolphins game against the Texans last week, and Tua does not impress me.
Mm-mm.
Like he's got weapons all around him, and he's throwing picks and not accurate, and I just don't see it. Like I can't trust the Dolphins, and I'm not a Mike McDaniel guy either. I think the 49ers are going to rally around the whole Devondre Campbell, like being the bad guy, and I think they're going to play better. We'll see how Brock Purdy looks because he looked bad on Thursday night. But
Has there been an update about Garendo playing?
Garendo's out
Is
from
he
what I
officially
saw.
out? Okay.
Yeah.
I saw he was questionable. If they don't have him, their running back situation, I mean, Patrick Taylor Jr. is solid, but he hasn't like we haven't seen enough out of the rest of their running back room to trust it. And I know the Dolphins defense is pretty solid on the ground, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays off. I like this game because if the Dolphins lose, they'll be eliminated from the playoff contention. Um,
Hmm.
the 49ers will miss the postseason if they lose or if seven other scenarios happen. Like there are so many ways for the 49ers to miss the playoffs at this point. They're basically eliminated.
They are, and but Kyle Shanahan should have this team ready to go.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll see. This game could go either way for sure.
Yeah, and the stats about Tua having the most or fourth most passing touchdowns and playing so well since coming back from his concussion, like it's
It's
because
kind of
people were
fool's
scared to hit
gold.
him for a couple weeks, and I think people are past that. I think the
Yeah,
fans are like, no, you're gonna run into us, fine. Well, we're gonna treat you like everybody else now.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And so I think the 49ers get the win. Are you going
Yeah.
San Francisco?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we've got the quarterback out here buying his O-line, new snazzy whips. Like
Yeah.
it seems like they're playing for more. And then we've got, the number one receiver for the Dolphins saying, "Hey, it's time for me to go, coach." Like the
Yeah.
one of these teams still cares and the other one doesn't.
Another coach that I would move on from is Mike McDaniel. I would go try to get an upgrade there. And some
My
people have
favorite
been,
thing is that their fans will hashtag Mike McDumbass under posts and tag Mike.
yeah,
That cracks me up. I love that.
I never bought into Mike McDaniel from day one. I never thought like he seems like an X's and O's guy, which is cool. He could be a good coordinator. He's not a leader of men. He's not a locker room leader. And
He's
you
so
know,
glorified on the podium when they ask
yeah,
questions. Like,
yeah. He gives you Mark Trestman vibes, and we all know how Mark Trestman was as head coach for the
yeah, that's
Bears.
fair. I can see
Yeah,
that. I never saw that, but now that yeah.
I saw that right away. I was like, he's a little
Oh, cool.
quirky.
Deja vu. What is this?
Yeah. Sunday night football, 8-6 Bucks at the 6-8 Cowboys. Baker has been feeling dangerous lately, but
Yeah,
so has
yeah.
Cooper Rush.
Yes, but also no. Um, he's been playing way better than I expected. I've talked a lot of shit about him
Yeah,
coming into this him starting situation, but I just no. It The Cowboys have won one game at home since the wild card matchup last year against Green Bay. Like
hmm,
before that, they won 16 straight games at home between 22 and 23. Like their average margin of victory was 17 and a half points. The Packers come into their house, Lambeau Field South, kick their butts 42 to or 48 to 32. And then since then they've won one game at home and it was the Giants. Like
yeah,
I mean, granted, these losses came from good teams like that. The Saints were playing well at the time. The Ravens, the Lions, the Eagles, the Texans, the Bengals ish, good-ish.
hmm, yeah,
Um,
sure.
but with what the Bucks did to the Chargers, that 40-17 win,
That was a statement.
this is the perfect time for Tampa Bay to come in here. I think with the Cowboys giving up as many rushing yards as they are per game, fourth worst in the league, They've surrendered 43 touchdowns as a defense, third most in the league. I think this is going to be nasty.
Yeah, the Bucks can't take their foot off the gas at all
No.
because Atlanta, now everyone's buried Atlanta and said like they're not any good. They benched their quarterback, all that. But if the Bucks lose and the Falcons win, suddenly the Falcons would win the division
Add up.
just
Yeah.
like that because of the
So,
sweep.
yeah.
So, but the Bucks have been playing great football. Mike Evans is unstoppable. Bucky Irving has been awesome as a rookie, and Baker has been. Did you see that thing I sent you with Colin Cowherd saying he could tackle Baker Mayfield in the open field? Like
God,
we've
let's
seen
do it. Let's try. I want to knock Cowherd out. Let's go.
Baker is not, you know, he's not some small quarterback. He'll stiff arm you to the ground, and he's been playing so well lately. Uh, any chance Dallas pulls this one off? I
No.
like I like Dallas, their defense, Rico Dowdle, but I gotta go Tampa Bay. They're just playing. You do that to the Chargers. No one has blown the Chargers out all year, but Tampa Bay did it
Yeah.
last week. So
They're heating up at the right time, and their chance to win in the NFC South increases to 93% if they win,
yeah,
68 with the loss. Meanwhile, the Cowboys could be eliminated if Washington wins. Like, so they might even be eliminated before this game even starts.
yeah,
So we might not even see their starting players on the field if they're already eliminated.
yep, yeah. So Bucks should win that one in Jerry World. And now let's go to Monday Night Football. The 5-9 Saints at your 10-4 Packers. Spencer Rattler getting the start for the Saints. Saints, they're a bad team, but they're kind of sneaky competitive. But
Mhm.
Green Bay playing for a lot more, still alive in the division race and playing good football. They kicked Seattle's ass, the pass rush especially. And I think Green Bay at home, cold weather dominates this game and wins easily over the Saints.
Well, I'm not going to say cold weather against the Saints though, because they've played 18 games at 32 degrees or lower. They've won the last three. One of them was 6 degrees in Cleveland. So
But
the Saints,
who was the quarterback in those games? Was that Drew Brees? Was that Derek
that
Carr?
was 2022. I mean, it wasn't back in, back that far. But, I just with Kamara, his injury situation, Taysom
Yeah,
Hill being out,
yeah.
I think I think the injuries are going to catch up with them. I do think it's ridiculous that Green Bay is favored by 14. Because I feel like anything over 10 is just asking for the universe to tell you to fuck off. Like
Yeah.
like once it gets into like above 11, 12, like now you're just like, no, now you want an upset. Like it just I feel like you're asking for it at that point. Green Bay has been playing so well as far as average yards after the catch with receptions this season, and the Saints defense is giving up the third highest in the NFL. I think Green Bay will definitely handle this one. And I know I just have to give a quick shout out to Dontavian Wicks. I know I've been talking a lot of shit, been calling him Dontavian. I was watching some of his highlights. He has Mind you, I am correct about his drop rate. He's got the league worst drop rate of all receivers. Like, he's
Mhm.
bad. However, if you go and look up Dontavian Wicks blocking, he is throwing up blocks like he plays defense. Like, he is
Yeah.
so good at blocking. I can see why we're keeping him on the field. Maybe give him the ball a little bit less. But he's been so good at blocking that we can forgive the drop rate a little bit. And that Packers offense is really pulled together too. Wide receivers from the 2022 draft. The top two in receiving touchdowns, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they're playing really well. I mean, our rookie, Edgerrin Cooper, highest graded player from last week. And I really love how this Packers team is coming together at the right time. We have some stupid losses this season, like the Detroit situation. Where was our defense? I don't know. But the last we've seen them firing on all cylinders, and I don't see this falling off here against a really beat up Saints team.
Yeah, outside, night game, cold weather, feed Josh Jacobs. He's a beast, and that's their recipe to success. Jordan Love has been great. His receivers are solid, but Josh Jacobs is, in my opinion, the most talented player on that offense. And he can carry that team. If you play a certain style of football in the playoffs, that can be very successful.
Mhm.
Jordan Love protect the football. The defense does their job.
Yeah.
Adrian Cooper's been balling.
Something I
Jair.
want to watch in this matchup, Demario Davis, the Saints linebacker, he's
Hmm.
recorded a tackle on 21% of all run plays that he's been on the field for this season. Like he is
Wow.
good. So I want to see him matched up against Jacobs. I want to see how that goes for Jacobs because he is fantastic at stopping the run. So I do expect Jacobs to have the ball a lot, very heavy workload. Let's avoid injuries though, because we
Mhm.
should easily win this one. So throw some of our babies in there, get Emmanuel Wilson on the field a little bit, get him some runs.
And we'll see what they're looking at uh, by the time they play because they'll know the results of the earlier games. I mean,
Yeah.
if the Vikings and Lions lose and the Packers win, boom, just like that, they're a game back of the division lead.
I don't
So,
think they're gonna take the foot off the gas in this one regardless.
yeah.
But if uh if Seattle and Chicago pull through for us, maybe a little bit more relaxed, a little more pep in their step, the
Yeah.
optimism will be there.
The what? Oh, the optimism. Yeah. Yeah. So,
So
yeah, it's gonna be great.
root for both of our teams this week. What a nice little change.
Absolutely. It's gonna be good, and both of our teams are gonna win, and I'm gonna gain ground on you in the picks. It's just gonna be a great weekend all around. Happy holidays, and
Alex has been sipping the eggnog, guys. He's
hey, I was tailgating for Notre Dame, Indiana. You can't
That's
blame me
true.
on
That's
that
so
one.
cool. Like we'll post some videos that Alex took today, guys, because I mean we're trying to be down and in the action as much as possible. We're trying to make it up to the
Yeah,
mountain this year. So if you guys have any stuff that you think we should go to or tailgates, etc., we should prioritize. Let us know because we're trying to be out in the action a bit more for you.
yeah, absolutely. So, another great episode. Follow along, see how we do this weekend. Great football all weekend long, starting tonight, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and then the Monday night capper. It's gonna be awesome. Enjoy the holidays. Have a great weekend, guys, and we'll see you back next week. Good shit as always, Amanda, and peace out, guys.